All right, and we are live. Welcome again, everyone, to another episode of Narrations and Lamentations with Mittierim and the boys. I am Mittierim, and with me are the boys, Skip and Michael. And Skip is coming to us tonight from an undisclosed location that the FBI has moved him to as part of the relocation program. So please, no one tell anyone that you've seen him tonight.
To borrow an old wrestling term, I am from parts unknown.
um, Tonight, we've got a lot to deal with. We're going to focus primarily on kind of discussing our list building tactics in terms of the narration and why we choose certain units over others, and kind of just get into a little bit more of our thought processes behind that. We also have, excuse me, we also have some questions from apparently our number one friend of the show, Vince, and MC1 Gamer that both went quite heavy duty on the questions, so we should have plenty to talk about. So first thing, before I get into too much, I did want to give a shout out to another one of our fans, Dark CT. He actually came over to the house and hung out with us last night and got everything face-to-face meet style. So thanks for coming by. Definitely a cool guy. We'll have to get games in and whatnot as the time presents itself. So thanks for coming over. It was awesome to meet you. So I know, most people don't come here for news, but we do have to say there was a huge breaking story. Don't want to go too much into it because it's not really our purview, but we felt remiss if we didn't deal with it. For the first time ever, the Beastmen won a battle last night, so we definitely wanted to make knowledge that. I don't want to go into too many details because we are going to be doing the battle report on that, but frankly, y'all should check the thermometers in hell and make sure nobody's got some winning lottery tickets because there was some crazy shit going on last night.
Well, they need to. It's more on how we won with what we were facing.
But
that,
it was still a valid win for the Beastmen, which no one expected. So applause to Michael, and I'm hoping that'll be the next battle report I get up. I know it's been a while because we missed last week's game night, so I'm hoping to have that up tomorrow, maybe. But definitely wanted to just rib him a little for that. And sort of my final shout out, I wanted to do a shout out to Reef. For those of you who haven't checked out his channel, definitely go to, as soon as this show is over, go check out Reef. He's awesome. And quite without prompting, Reef stepped up to my defense this week, and I very much appreciate it, brother. It's the closeness of this community, even though we're half the world away, is definitely one of the things I love about doing this and doing the battle reports and having a YouTube channel. So thanks, man, and anybody who wants to go see what I'm talking about, go check his last video. It had me rolling. So before we get into the meat of our program, you guys have anything special that you want to talk about or bring up before we really get things rolling tonight?
Let's just say I'm hunting for a new set of dice. That's my mission this weekend.
Yeah. Just for the record,
I like the Minotaurs and Gorgons.
Just for the record, Skip's dice after last night's game night earned a one-way trip to the microwave. luck on that search, man, because God knows you need it.
It looks so good and rolls so bad.
Yeah.
Maybe you should buy up. I know Lord Tremendous got some custom dice made for him. Maybe you should do that same sort of bit.
I may have to do that.
So we're actually already getting comments pouring in. So let's. I want to take a stop here. First of all, Andy2D6 says has requested that we amp up the smug in this episode, and I don't know if it'll be this episode, Andy, but we are working on a new segment for the show called the Weekly Jackass. So we're hoping that'll have plenty of that in there, and we can kind of keep it restrained to one section of the show. So keep tuning in, and we'll try and make that happen for you. Dark CT just saying hi. Looks like he's still having trouble finding his Skaven book. Terrible luck, man. If you do want to go to the GW in Winston, I was there today. They've got one. And Tremendous says the Beastman won an actual battle with actual in capitals, just in case you guys missed that. Is that a twin-tailed comet in the sky? Yes, in fact, it was a twin-tailed comet, Lord T, and it actually crashed through my roof and smacked Skip right in the forehead. So, yeah, it was like I said, I'm going to get the battle report up, but it was one hell of a battle to watch. That's for damn sure.
It definitely was fun, if nothing else.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was wild. Okay, so like I said, what we're going to focus on tonight is going to be kind of discussing our list building and, in specific, different units that we find either sort of pro-narrative for us or anti-narrative, and why we make those choices. So what I want to start off with is have each person kind of go through a single unit that they use in their army that you feel is very specific to how you play, how you build that narrative force, and why.
Okay.
So who wants to take it? I've been yapping for like 8 minutes straight now.
Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I'll go with the obvious. 1 second, sorry. Okay, I'm good. Yeah, I'll go with the obvious pick first. My dwarves, the hammers, because narrative-wise, Ogren's forces are straight out, run towards you, beat you in the face, and nothing does that better than hammers.
I would actually have to say the men-at-arms for Bretonnia. That's the first thing I usually put together when I'm building my list for Bretonnia. It's the poor man's army. I'm a poor man now, so, it fits.
And for me, I guess probably the biggest one for me that I attach narrative importance to for the ogres is actually my Iron Guts. And the reason for that for me actually stems back to that first campaign that we played, the Blood in the Badlands campaign. And for those of you that don't know how that works, you basically, if you win certain battles, you can get benefits to a unit, but then you have to field that unit every time you field that particular character. And one of the first battles I won in that campaign, I gave devastating charge to the Iron Guts for that benefit, and I renamed them the Tyrannical Guard. And ever since then, I pretty much exclusively play with Iron Guts when Tok'ran is on the field. So for me, that's kind of a narrative collection. I feel really weird when I play the Iron Guts without Tok'ran. Something feels wrong. So I do try and restrict that, and again, it's another one of those weird narrative things that we probably limit ourselves in list building more than not because of those sorts of things.
Kind of the same for the way I'm building Cartasia's army now with Bretonia, even though it's very point costly. But I think that the Grail Knights fit his kind of honor guard better. And I've only used them once, and they didn't do very well. But I think I'm going to try to continue to at least use them for the time being and see if I can get a little bit better at it. But I just think that because of the situation with Alphonius and Cartasia is now the chosen one of the lady, basically, to restore Bretonia. I'm thinking that the Grail Knights fit in as a great honor guard for him when he is on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I actually, in sort of connection to this, I'm going to pull out one of the questions that MC1 Gamer asked us and kind of tweak it a little bit, and I put it to you guys. He was interested in our painting and converting things and wanted to know how we make our decisions on the scheme. Do we stick with the model as it's designed and paint it out of the box, or do we convert it to the chain to change the look and fit of the army? And the add-on question to that is, if that is the case, what have you guys done to kind of make the narrative fit even closer for these particular pieces? So I guess answer the first question. Do you do everything in box, or do you match it to what you're doing first, I guess?
I'm not a very good painter. I'm getting better, but I'm just pretty much doing it out of the box, or if I see it on eBay, I'll buy it and then incorporate what I see into how I'm designing the character. Hopefully, eventually down the road, I'll be able to, when I bring more characters in, maybe tweak them here and there with stuff of my own idea. But since I'm kind of limited in what I can do artistry-wise, that's what I've been doing.
Mm-hmm. Michael?
I typically don't paint what's shown on the box, as I like to have my own flair with my armies. I mean, my hammers are straight out painted green, and mainly because I like green on them, it looks good. Most of my armies have their own particular look to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I typically plan out, hey, where is this army from? What color scheme would they use? And then that's what I go with on them.
As far as I go, my ogres, I don't think quite so much because they were kind of my first army, and I really got the basic paint scheme for them done before we started doing this narrative bit. I have gotten into converting like the man-eaters, and I am actually, I finally decided I'm going to break down, I don't know when this will happen, but I'm going to convert a man-eater hero who's a Noblar. So I'm going to put him on for all stat-wise, he's going to be ogre stats, but I'm going to like put a rock and have the Noblar standing up over the rock with a big weapon over his head, and maybe decorate the rest of the base with like skulls and things, just to make him look like the most badass Noblar ever. But I think to the biggest degree, the army that I have done that the most is the Empire, because I am going for a very religious spin to them. So, like, I converted the Altar of More, which is my stand-in for the Celestial Huracanum, and I've actually finally come up with an idea of what I'm going to do for my conversion that'll stand in for the Luminarch, and I'm actually going to make it into a Pyre of Witches. I've got some extra flagellates around, and they're going to be pulling a cart that has basically just flaming dead bodies that they're burning as witches, and that's going to be the source of light for the shooty banishment spell that, or whatever spell it is, the laser beam spell that the Luminarch has. But because I'm not really going that more engineer style thing, I wanted something that definitely screams religious fanaticism for me, and that I think fits the Archlector's army that I'm building.
Well, I can recommend a spot in the mountains where there's a bunch of dead witches that you can take.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Hmm.
All right, so here is sort of, I guess, the crux of where I wanted to get. Now that we've talked about the painting a little bit, the crux of where I want to get in terms of our army selections. If you go to the other battle report sites and talk to folks like Malorian, Once Bitten, Anthony from Sustainable Center, those kind of guys, there are some things that they will tell you are absolute have-to-haves in an army. Level 4 wizards, chaff, I mean, proper war machines, cannons being uber important. How much of that do you guys pay attention to, or just absolutely disregard in pursuit of our narrative fluff?
I would have to say I think that they can do strong lists, but again, most of the time they're talking about tournament lists and things like that, and that's something that we've discussed many times here that we don't go for. We're talking about witches. Speaking of witches, a lot of people with the dark elves do the witch elf build. They put the Cauldron of Blood, 40 witches, double frenzy, everything like that. And I don't take that very often. I go with more Cold One Knights. I go with Corsairs. I go with more of the theme that I'm building my actual narrative army on, as opposed to, hey, you could probably win if you put 2 bricks of witch elves, and four what am I thinking of? The bolt throwers, things like that. You have a better shot of winning. I'd rather just have the more narrative feel to it. If I don't feel like it's going to fit what I'm trying to do, I'm not going to add it, even though it may help me win the battle.
Mm-hmm.
For the dwarves, we don't have a lot of choices in what to take that's not good, in my opinion, as just the slayers are not good. I take a lot of cannons, mainly just cannons. The hammers are always a must-have for me, just like the banner of Groth One Eye. But that's also because that's what I built my armor around narratively.
Yeah. Well, here let me put forth this, because I actually have to say I was going to agree with what you guys are saying when I first came up with this question this morning.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking about it, and I definitely have noticed a certain drift in certain parts of our army construction, most particularly the magic side. When we first started playing and started doing the first campaign and even the first narratives things, you were much more likely to find level 2 wizards as your primary wizards and no dispel scrolls and things like that. And over the last year that we've been doing this, give or take, I think we've gone definitely the other way. So my question is, do you guys feel like those obvious, better competitive choices have been maybe influencing our army lists more than we might otherwise have realized?
Yeah. Now that you point that out, you're probably right, especially when it comes to the magic, because I can just kind of think back in all the recent games. I don't think I've never ever not taken a dispel scroll.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
was thinking about it too. I mean, last night the game we played, me and Michael, was the first time in God knows how long that I didn't take one for the ogres, or rather that the ogre list I built didn't have one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, I'm not going yet, and for the most part, I still avoid that. But I think I was kind of surprised to come to that realization and see how much that had kind of changed the way we were building our lists. Not to necessarily say that a list with a level 4 mage with a Dispel Scroll is inherently less narratively appropriate than one that's not, but it's just an interesting trend that I've noticed from this point on, or from,
Well,
I guess, the end of the Blood in the Badlands campaign on.
I guess for me, I don't see it as much because for most of that time frame, I was playing strictly dwarves, and that meant you take runesmith and dispel scrolls.
Right. But I mean, even since you've picked up the Beastman, you pretty much slid very comfortably into that level 4 Beastman,
Oh yeah,
level
no,
2
no,
or level 4 Shaman, level 2 side mage with Dispel Scroll. And I mean,
yeah,
I can't argue that it's not effective, and I also can't argue that you kind of feel like a jackass when your opponent shows up with one and you brought a level 1, like I did with
yeah.
my last vampire list. But it was just an interesting thing, and it was one of those things I kind of wanted to mention to you guys that occurred to me just so we can kind of open our eyes as to the narrative.
Yeah.
And how we're kind of building our armies to that end. So, in that line of thinking, and the fact that we do try to build armies that are narratively appropriate before considering the sort of the tactical benefit, are there any units in any of our armies that we will refuse to use purely because of the sort of clash with the narrative?
Hmm. I'm trying to think.
Uh, hmm. I guess the only one I can really think of for me is the high elves I just picked up. I'm not gonna take the Phoenix Guard because narratively there's no reason for them to leave the uh, the high elf islands,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no reason for them to be part of a cavalry army.
I think the only thing that pops up for me, and again, I might get called on it that it's a less effective option anyway, is the Strigoi Ghoul King from the Vampire Counts. Because my vampires are more like the feudalist style, they're more uh, civilized, might be a best term. The idea of this sort of semi-bestial leader of vampires just doesn't fit for me. So I don't foresee myself ever making use of that particular option.
I'm just trying to think if there's anything in my army that I'm just really avoiding. Probably the questing knights. That's one thing I've never really incorporated and had any desire to in my Bretonnia.
Now, the question is though, is that because they're terrible, or because of it's a narrative clash for you?
I think it's a narrative clash. I mean, they're great weapons, so I mean, they're going to have their uses, but I don't see how that type of knight fits into what I want to do with both sides of my Bretonnia army now. I don't see them fitting us. I don't foresee any of my BSBs or anything like that taking a great weapon. So I don't see whatever they're designed for. It's just not fitting what I want to accomplish with Bretonnia.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really the only thing I can think of off the top of my head.
Well, I would almost argue with sort of the coming of Cartasia, maybe the idea of him drawing in questing knights to aid in the quest to Alphonia is maybe narratively appropriate.
I didn't think of that. Again, you make a good point.
So let's go ahead and use that to lead into the first question that MC1 Gamer asked, which we've probably been asked more than any other question since we started doing this. And I think Michael's frankly tired of answering it. But are all the narrative decisions collaborative, or is there one person with who's a little more the game master? If the latter, has there been any decisions or ideas that we've come up with that we've absolutely hated, didn't have fun playing, etc.?
I'm going to let everybody in on a secret now. It's actually Mrs. Mittierim that controls this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's pulling the string
ever play.
Yeah, that's why she never see her.
Awesome.
Like, you see bad
She's actually, it's really amusing that you said that because she's leaning over my shoulder right now. And she can't hear it, so I've got like the headphones on so she can't hear the audio, so she's now staring daggers at me from the other room. Apparently, dear, you are the mastermind behind the entire narrative. That's why no one ever sees you, because you're really the one coming up with all the stories and making us play each other like puppets.
Yep, she's the puppet master.
This is how it goes.
Yep.
And I've chased her away by trying to point the camera at her. She's now hiding behind the open closet door. So, like, she's hiding behind it, so there's no way I can get her on the picture. She says now she can yell at me and puppet me all she wants, and I can't put her on camera for it. Now, I'll just be open. For the most part, collaborative is the best word for it. Mm-hmm. Because it's not like we sit down before every battle and like come up with as a group what we're doing. It's more like a brainstorming session, if nothing else, where one person will just kind of spit out a bit of a story, start the battle, and go from there. Now, I think there have been certain maybe influences that I have had, maybe a little more than any other, for two reasons. I mean, first of all, I think the pacing of the narrative battles has been I've had some control over because I'm the one doing the battle reports. So I've been kind of slowing down, saying, "Hey, let's not do one this week. Let's do one next week," that sort of thing. But two, I think it comes from the fact that when we played D&D, for the most part, I am the game master there. So I think it's just my habit to spit those kind of things out, and they get picked up and not as it is. But for the most part, I would argue collaborative. Mm-hmm. Now, the second question has nothing to do with the first. As to, have there been any decisions or ideas that have come up that we've absolutely hated, didn't have fun playing? Absolutely. I think anybody who's followed the channel for a while knows sort of what went down regarding my dwarves and the Old Warriors of Chaos player and why he's no longer part of the group. So I really don't want to go into that. So what I want to toss out to you guys now is, not including the stuff that person put in, has there been anything that any of the three of us has put together that you haven't had fun playing? Or hated? I mean, I don't think there's anything hated, but if you guys are holding back a seething cauldron of evil and vile, go ahead and pour it out. And that should make Reef happy.
No, I got most of mine out last night when I took it on with the Dark Elves.
Yeah, it goes back to the seething cauldron is actually with the dead witch elves, so it's tipped over and flowing out there. So okay. I don't think so. I mean, really, I don't. I'm trying to think back if there's anything that really annoyed me. I mean, we all, I think we've mentioned before, a lot of times we get frustrated at how we're rolling or decisions that we make in game, at the time. But I don't think there's really anything that we've really hated.
All right, well, you guys are being nice, so I guess I get to be the dick of this conversation. Let me throw this out. There have been some narrative decisions that I have ultimately not been happy with.
Okay.
The jacked up part about that is that there are decisions that I made. It's one of those things. I am a slave to the story. If the story naturally grows in a direction, I'm going to go for that, whether or not I necessarily think that I'll enjoy it, because I think that the stories demand to be told, and they are living things that will tell themselves in one way or another. And of course, what I'm speaking about is ultimately my dwarf king Dorn.
Mm-hmm.
I still his death still bugs me, but it bugs me just because more in that line that I think there is more I would have liked to have done with him. But I feel very satisfied in the fact that given the events of the campaign, he had to freaking die. So I think that's one of those things that, yes, I made those decisions and given sort of what was given to me in those games, but it's something that ultimately I don't think I was very happy with because of that.
Yeah, now that you mention it, yeah, I have a big issue with you killing him too.
Yeah.
But then
So
again,
I'm the
I
dick
take
of the
issue with you by
situation.
killing dwarves.
I'm perfectly fine with it.
Right.
That makes sense.
So so I guess that answers that question. So before we get into any more of these questions or any more just kind of general discussion, let's go ahead and refresh the comments on the page, see what we're dealing with.
Now they're saying that there's one thing that y'all have forbidden me to do, and that's bring in Hellebron. So that's but
Bring Hellebron all
Hey,
day. I'm gonna bring in my
there is,
beastmen guy.
and for the record, I never forbid Hellebron. I
Mhm.
just said if she shows up on my table, I'm flipping it. So if
Right.
you want to deal with that, that's your call. But
Yeah, after last night, I will take on Hellebron. And I'll bring in Kazrak One
somebody
Eye.
somebody is wearing the big beast pants tonight.
Oh yeah. Mainly because
Uh,
Kazrak goes, "Oh, you got strength 10. That doesn't matter to me."
all right. So, okay, what the heck? I knew we had more comments, and then I refreshed them, and like half of them disappeared.
Did they
Because
get?
I
Yeah.
don't know. Like I know Alicia's been messing with us. She asked if we know anyone who does very good banners. I think
Yeah.
she. Well, she's over here chewing me out for not having shown the picture off. So just for the record, and I really do need to take a picture that's worth the work she did. So she heard me talking about one of Lord Tremendous's battle reports, and more to the point, the commercial for Banner Guy he has at the end of it, about how and Lord Tremendous is a man very familiar with superlatives. And so he says something to the effect of, there is no person, there is no entity, there is no company that can create banners this good. And she took offense to that and whipped up one in 10 minutes that I think is every bit as good as the ones she knows. And more amazingly, she didn't do it in like the big giant like BSB banners like this, like the ones Tremendous does. She did it like this freaking big to be sized for a normal unit of or normal goblins. So she has been totally riding my ass that I haven't put that up and shown it off since. So
It's very
beyond
impressive.
that, if yeah, uh,
Mm-hmm.
beyond that, okay, now they've started popping up. Okay, so other than wife trolling, let's go to actual comments. Um, so Vince, he says, here for the Noblar Maneater. We all await the day when the Noblar hero or lord can be chosen. I'd also love to see a Noblar Iron Blaster with them just hanging off anywhere. I'll show it, sweetie, but she brought the damn thing over to me. You're probably not going to be able to see it because Google Hangouts is absolutely terrible for clearance. Yeah, it looks terrible on the resolution on this,
Josh, I know
but
how we
it's
could get it shown very easily. We just
what
have to get her to play the game.
absolutely. I Here. I gotta repeat that.
Last night.
So Michael says the best way to get it shown on the channel in the battle reports is for you to actually play the game. She'd be flipping me off right now if she wasn't holding the baby and a bottle.
So next week, after Mittierim and Michael disappear, I'll be hosting the show.
But like I said, I don't know if you guys can actually see this, but it looks terrible on this thing. But it's got 2 actual squigs drawn, balls and chains from the Fanatics, and the image there is actually the Bad Moon with the Night Goblin cloak over it, and it's awesome. But
Yeah, it's pretty.
like I said, it's not wanting to start a fight, but I got to sleep here tonight. I felt I had to show that off. Sorry, Vince, for interrupting your question here, or your comment here. So Vince says that if I'm going to model a Noblar hero now, that he would go Muppet Man with him and just have a bunch standing on each other's shoulders wearing a trench coat pretending to be an ogre. That would be totally awesome, and I don't know, Vince, if you ever looked at the Noblars. They're actually already about halfway there, because the model I use for my Noblar champion is actually one out of the sprues where it's 2 Noblars like stacked on top of each other, and the one on top doesn't have any feet. Like his legs have been bitten off at the knee, so the other guy is just kind of carrying him on his shoulders, and they all have weapons. So I guess I could take that and like put another Noblar up under it and like stack it, and then I would just need to like green stuff a fat suit over him, I guess would be okay, and then Vince, of course, pops up again once we get into the actual meat of things. And in regards to what we were discussing about how we've changed our builds, he says he thinks a drift in unit selection in small metas is very common and sensible. Each book has some subpar units. I'm looking at you, Ushapti. They're from the Tomb Kings, right?
Yes.
Okay. And despite how much you love them, when you're building a list, those things get cut. All right, first of all, that is a lie, sir. I put Yetis and Noblar in as much as possible. So all right, we'll give a little taste test of the Jackass segment for next time. Only a weak player who is unable to truly live the narrative cuts those things. That's as close as I can get to being a jackass right now. So.
We can't even get that close to it.
Hey,
Actually, I got 3 Ashadi I was going to put into my Tomb King's army, so.
And God knows Michael's still using 3 Minotaurs with no support characters in his.
Hey, those Minotaurs.
And they still haven't gotten to fucking combat.
They did wonderful. Okay, they crippled Skip's army.
Right.
My dice crippled my army.
Yeah, but and he basically talks about, like, if we were doing a hardcore tournament list, we'd refine and cut our list to give them the sharpest edge. And basically, it's a competitive game that we're trying to win, so it's okay to take good stuff. And that doesn't necessarily means that we're going beardy and only taking the best, which I absolutely agree. I don't think anyone will be able to ever tell us that we are going beardy for that. So, oh shit. All right. So I'm going to skip over Dark CTs. Mr. Malorian says that Alicia makes horrible banners, and she can prove me wrong by sending me one. And Alicia actually calls your bluff on that one, Mallory. She says, what army you want one for? And JoshLmerritt@gmail.com, send me your address and tell me what army you want one for. And Vince says, even at this low resolution, the banner is amazing, and he's glad that I interrupted to show them that because it was worth it, and says that the gauntlet has been thrown down with the banner guy. So,
Didn't she also magnetize that one so it can be swapped between armies?
Oh, yeah, I should probably show that, too. She's magnetized everything in her freaking Is it magnetized? I don't want to like snap this thing off. Yeah. So she's magnetized it so she can move it onto any of her units.
Boom.
And she's got like her Goblin Wolf Riders. She's magnetized with some of my my dire wolves from VC. So if she really wants some scary looking freaking wolves for them to ride, she can switch those off. She's really gone kind of nuts with the magnetizing thing, but I think it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's too bad I don't have like clips to show you guys, but she's only been in 2 freaking battle reports out of 68. And as she reminds me, she kicked my ass in both of them. So,
but she has not beaten my dwarves.
didn't her wood elves spanked your dwarves like first time you played?
That was by 100 points because she played wood elf tactics and danced around me and having
right. So you're saying it doesn't count because she played her army like she was supposed to play her army?
It doesn't count because it wasn't a narrative battle and I didn't have any war machines. In fact, I don't think I had a shooting unit.
Well, just because she played her army like it was supposed to and you didn't, that's...
Okay. Then I've beaten her army before, too. I'm talking about the goblins. I'm not talking about the wood elves.
Okay. All right, so apparently it doesn't count because you beat him with wood elves and not the goblins, so you got to work on that.
Yeah.
All right, so Remington actually, since before we get too far into this going back at each other, because frankly, you guys know where I live. If you want to have this argument with her, you're more than welcome to come over. But Remington Steele, great guy. I've actually done some narrative work for him for his own battle reports. Finally pops us off on a question that might be able to redirect us to something worthwhile. He says, if beastmen are, quote, children of chaos, why don't they get chaotic bounties from the 4 gods like daemons and warriors, and it could balance them better? What do you think?
It's Games Workshop. I don't know what you want from me.
I actually think it's because Games Workshop hates Michael personally.
Mm-hmm.
They recognized, 8 years ago when they wrote this book, that one day he would play it, and decided not to give them anything good, just like the dwarves.
Yeah. And so I'm just going around their whole group because they never thought I'd go high elf.
Okay, is that what? That's the whole high elf choice? Is you're messing with the seers at Games Workshop?
They never knew I'd go high elf.
So, from my point of view on that, yes, it probably would make them stronger. But I don't want them to have it. Not because I have anything against the beast, but I kind of like how the beastmen are different in that regard. The beastmen, I don't know. I almost want to say the beastmen's faith is stronger than the warriors, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
with the warriors. Yeah, with the warriors, it's purely a trade of goods. You get X, I get Y. With the beastmen, you actually, without having that immediate payback, you get the feeling that it's actually a true faith that's grown up. Because I mean, you say, oh well, that's why you're mutated, but it's like, no, that's really them attributing what happens to them to that godly influence. So I actually like it better. I personally think there are other ways they could gear up the beastmen without necessarily taking that unique flavor from them.
Yeah.
Dropping every one of their freaking monsters by about 150 points would be a good start.
Oh, you mean I could fit 2 Zolas in an army? I'm all for that.
Dude, I told you, the day they put Jabber Slites in special at a decent core cost, I'm playing Beastmen because I'm going to put 3 of those fuckers in the army.
I'll tell you what, I mean,
organs on the board.
People underestimate that Primal Fury.
Oh, it's nice.
It rocks. I mean, it's every round you have a chance to get this.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not just like hatred. I mean, it's every round you get the possibility of doing it, and that puts them up at elf level. With the always strikes first.
It makes them. They've got a couple things that make them a very unique and decent army.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, I got to interrupt this to get Vince. Vince thinks he's calling me out on here. This jackass, he says, because I told him that about only lesser men don't cut out the crappy choices. He says, this jackass gladly awaits your ogre army featuring all bulls, hunters with groups of kitties, yeti, 2 scrap launchers, and all the rest noblars.
He did.
Give me a minute, Vince. I've done that before. Except I don't have 2 scrap launchers, so I only had 1. I'll have to look up which battle report it is, but that's actually not an uncommon list for me. Or I could just point you to the What the Fuck Warhammer Night, where I did all Noblars for core and only had like 6 ogres in the army, all told.
That was a neat army.
It was fun. I do that kind of crap a lot. But he says he hears me. He thinks what we're really aiming for is a mix between functional good units and things that we know are less good but damn fun and we love them all the same. Functional fun, that is the goal, which can be challenging. I absolutely agree. And he says, in many ways, he thinks it's easier to be a tournament player because you just refine and ignore so much of the book. You know what? That's not a thought that I've had before, but I could see it.
I mean, how hard would it be for us to just throw our best units into an army and table it?
Well, I think it's different. I mean, we do have one guy we occasionally play with who is pretty much a tourney guy. Yeah, for the most part, his lists look fairly similar most of the time, and I don't think he does much in the way of sort of in-depth analysis when he's putting together any given list, because he's just refined it to X choices that are repetitive. Would that be a fair estimation for you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, So yeah, okay. Let's get into some more of these questions. Can you guys see them in the chat log? Because frankly, I think everybody will eventually get tired of me reading all of these questions. Why don't you guys read the first question in that first brick from Vince?
You're looking at the first posting you put up?
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to take this one, you want me to?
I'll do it.
All
right. Do you like the idea of models that break expectations? For example, the new Plague Warriors that are infantry on a 40mm base. And what else would you like to see along with those lines? Monsters that are also chariots, all Bretonnian cavalry getting stomped, things like that.
So, Michael, you got to answer that one.
Can I have? I've decided the new thing I want is dwarf golems on bear calves with cannon-mounted rocket launchers.
Jesus. Let's just say no, because it would be giving the dwarves something effective. Sorry.
Oh. All right. Well, yeah, I would like to have some more unique stuff.
Yeah. I don't know that I feel strongly one way or another as far as the models breaking expectations. I mean, it is the new Plague Warriors that are infantry on a 40mm base is a little weird, but I don't know. I'm not a super fan of the models, so I'm not really paying a whole heck of a lot of attention to it. Now, I do like those Plague Rancors they've come out with, or they're going to come out with, that I've seen the pictures of. Those are kind of cool. But again, I am an MC1 gamer will fizz at the mouth for this one. I'm still one of those people that does not think that this is much more than a campaign setting. Maybe it's something that will inform the fluff from here on out as far as the end times go. And I'm really not looking to spend that kind of money on models that aren't really going to be playable in general rules and that sort of thing. Although I may get one of those Plague Rancor things, whatever they're called, for a Great Unclean one, because that could look boss. Yeah. But as far as everything that you listed, um, Bretonnian infantry getting stomp could be good. I still think I would side on them getting impact hits instead, but
Mhm.
that's just me.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I'd go with on it.
I'd like to see him at least
Yeah.
get a monster, maybe like a dragon or something like that. I still think that they deserve something.
Yeah, I'm still not sure. I think they should upgrade because I mean when I was playing in high school, the Griffins were basically on like 50 mil bases, something like that, and now they've turned them into big like chariot size things. I think if you did the same thing with hippogriffs, you could stay with what's kind of in their fluff already and give them some better units. Um, or for that matter, if you gave them Pegasus Lords who just had the rule that they can join Pegasus units. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that would go a long way. Um, so his second question gets back to more what we were kind of discussing as far as the narrative goes, and asks, have we thought about what the next hero protagonist in our army and narrative that we think might die, maybe as part of the larger story? Um, I guess the answer without giving any fluff away is yes, I have. And the next few battle reports with the ogres is going to be interesting. I haven't made any decisions because, frankly, I'm leaving it open to how the games play out. But there's some crazy shakedown going on in the ogres over the next probably 3 or 4 battle reports. But I don't want to give away too many details. You guys, have you given any thought as to anybody else that might get bumped off?
I have. I think, and it's going to be involving Bretonia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a natural end to what's going to happen. One thing is going to happen, or another thing is going to happen. It just depends on how the last battle that I'm going to that's going to be put together goes. So
Well, there already have been calls for Lord Alphonius to get drawn and quartered and the various pieces of his body put on pikes and paraded around the country. So I think your fans are calling for that already.
oh yeah,
What about you, Michael? Given any thoughts to who might be on the chopping block?
I have. Um, Ogrum dies. No, I'm just kidding. He can't die. He's immortal.
I think that would be one of those things that if it did actually happen in the narrative, um, that it would almost like pull your dwarves out of the narrative.
Yeah, no, because that's Ogrum is strictly what is holding them there at this point. Just that sheer amount of rage. Yeah, I've thought about on the dwarves who might die. I've thought about with the beastmen who could die.
Mm-hmm.
No, I always take it with none of my characters are immune to death.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go on the whim and think, you know what, this character dying helps improve the story, he's gone.
All right. So let me draw in. I'm going to actually draw in one of the questions because I think it dovetails nicely with this that MC1 Gamer asks. And he said, now that we're in the end times mode of our campaign, do we have any idea how long we're planning on playing things till the end, air quotes? Do you have any idea what that ending and or new beginning will be? And will we use that as a springboard into a new campaign set in the aftermath? So you guys want to go first for that one? If not, I can go into a little bit of it, or what I've been thinking. I personally don't know that we definitely haven't sat down and went, here's our plot for X number of games in the end. But I think I've started identifying certain linchpins that will cause some of my armies to drop out of the narrative. Like I think right now, like I was mentioning the fact that if Ogrim ever dies, the Hammerfell or the Odheim dwarves are unlikely to stick with it because I think he's a strong force keeping them there. I actually feel with the Empire that it's the same way with Heinrich von Grunberg. right now it is his religious zeal that is keeping them there fighting what is at best a stalemate with the Beastmen. If something were to happen and he were to disappear, I don't think that army as it exists now, I mean, I may reintroduce a new Empire force into the narrative, but that army as it is now would basically disintegrate because it's kind of a cult of personality thing going on.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Go ahead, Skip.
I'm sorry, Michael. I don't see me like. I'll take the Dark Elves for example. I mean, Talandra is obsessed with finding Melisandre, but and I thought maybe one way or the other, if they end up killing each other, maybe one would go away or one not. Now Michael's bringing in the High Elves. I mean, it would make you. I might see like a campaign switch for the Dark Elves to maybe go against them more so than the Daemons. But I don't see. I don't know. I don't foresee anything like that for my guys. I don't know. I haven't really sat down and thought about it.
Yeah.
But that would be the only change I could think of that may happen. Is the shifting of focus, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, if Morgor dies for the Beastmen, I'd have probably a new general step up, but it's not going to be the same army.
Yeah. And for me, I guess I want to clarify sort of my thinking on the whole idea of the end times as an actual end. I have been thinking about this very much more following your more traditional fantasy tropes. That these end times are really just sort of the darkest, most horrible things that rain down on the world to present that darkness before the dawn. Now, that's kind of what I'm hoping kind of progresses in our campaign. Given, however, that we are allowing the story to be formed by whatever armies win, it may not end up turning out that way. Frankly, I think if we go on a bad spin and the forces of destruction just start mud stomping everybody and it really is like burn everything down, it might be kind of interesting to sort of start a new campaign of the survivors of the broken civilizations trying to maybe like resistance fighting in a world controlled by the forces of destruction.
Yeah.
But that's just an idea I've kind of pulled out of my rear just sitting here in the last couple of minutes, though.
That's not a terrible idea.
Definitely different ideas. Yeah. It's definitely some different ideas, but nothing I think we've put in stone at this point. Hey, fellas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. So let's go ahead and...
Distance fighting, my dwarves are pretty good with.
Right.
We're fighting against all odds? Yeah. We've been doing that the entire time dwarves have existed.
Right. So, blah, 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 blah. I want to go back to some of the comments because apparently we're lighting them up with this discussion. Okay. Let's see. There's definitely some support with the idea of the Beastmen not getting direct powers because they are more blessed, which I guess makes sense. We have a question from Mr. Malorian. Remington Steele hasn't gotten a video up in a while. What would be our advice to help him get it up? Well, for the record, and I want to go ahead and say this so everybody sees, I have actually written the scenario for a battle report at Remington's request for him to play Beastmen versus Halflings, and he said he would put it all together. So I've been doing my part behind the scenes. There's a scenario there waiting for him to put it together, so we'll see what he does with it. I don't even know if the other guy, like Skip, you and Michael don't even know who Remington is, do you?
I do.
The naming and the phrase "how to help him get it up," I don't want to touch that.
Okay. So apparently Vince suggests that the Beastmen fix is to give an army-wide regen of 5 up. Maybe. But anyway. Remington says, how about the demise of Greasus Goldtooth? Disgruntled starving ogre tribes band together and literally consume him, then fight themselves for leadership. Remy, I got to give this one to you. That was actually one of my favorite. They mention it briefly, but the fact that Greasus' fat ass is losing control was one of the best things out of the fluff book for me. He is just such a lame character in my estimation. The idea of him being gone has me literally doing fat rolls all over the place. So, I never liked the character. I mean, his coolest defining trait is that he considers himself too good to walk, so he's carried around by Noblars. Now, just for the record, I would like that as a mount option, like Noblar Palanquin for Tyrants, because that would be awesome, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, if you get Noblar Throne, I get the Throne of Power. And Ogrim sits on and terrorizes everyone.
And MC1 Gamer was responding about the end times. He says he's not Throffing, and then my opinion could be right. He has his, which he's voiced to plenty, definitely. And never said he's right. It's just what he thinks. I will give you that, Mitch, but let me be honest. I mean, you're a Northerner, buddy, and to those of us below the Mason-Dixon line, you guys got a way of phrasing your opinions that make them sound like the Word of God. So that's just kind of my take on it, but
so that's why my dad sounds like that.
Right.
Makes sense now.
And I'm assuming... Okay. I think he left out a knot here somewhere, but he says, we'll find out once everything's completed and 9th looks like when it comes out, but he says he can't see why we couldn't take the Rancor monster either way. For me, to be totally honest, it's a logistics thing. I don't like taking units that aren't in one book. If I need to reference something, I want one book at the side of the table for me. I want to be able to flip it open. I want to look at it, find the rules, whatever. That was kind of the pain in the butt with the Lore of Undeath stuff because I didn't have the cards. So it was, let me flip open to find what the spell does. Let me flip open the next book to find out the unit I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And logistically, I mean, there's nothing saying, obviously, there's nobody here with a gun to my head unless Skip gets ornery. That's to say I can't use them, but it just comes down to I would like to operate out of a single army book. It's also why I hate the idea of like what 40K is doing with their data slates and whatnot. It's like I don't want to have a freaking iPad open at the gaming table to compare 6 or 7 different programs to find out what X, Y, and Z does. It's personal fluff or personal flavor, personal choice. I have nothing against anybody who would like to, but that's just kind of my call on it.
Yeah.
It ain't our cup of tea.
Yeah. But like I said, I actually, this is they're the first models that made me go, that is an amazing freaking model. As we've talked about before, the undead ones really didn't move me, but the plague rancors, that's kind of where it's at, man. I can't wait to kill them with Noblars. Just to let you guys know, kind of spoiler, the Noblars got another feather in their cap when they trashed a freaking plague drone.
That was so dumb.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible, but funny as all.
Died to traps in bottles.
Yeah, it was funny. So, last question from Vince here, and then I think we'll go through and make sure we've answered all Mitch's. 3. And this is a great one. I've been thinking about this all day. What is your single favorite battle in the current narrative so far, and why? If you guys need a minute, I've been, like I said, I got this message early this morning, or earlier today, and I've been thinking about it, so I've got mine picked. Do you want me to go ahead?
Yeah,
By
go
all
ahead.
means.
All right. My favorite battle so far has been the battle between the two dwarf armies. I loved that because I think between our choices of the units and just the way it played out, it was so just super fluffy. I think we built our lists entirely to be the servants of the two different dwarf lords, and they came out for what is arguably a bland book. The two armies came out very, very different.
Yeah.
And then add to the top of that my youngins whipped the young whippersnappers. It was or the old timers rather. That made me happy. But I thought it was the perfect balance between a game and one that from list design onward was super focused on the narrative.
Yeah, it definitely was. Because normal dwarf army for me is not the Vanguard banners. But yeah, that was definitely a fun game.
Hey, Michael, do you have your other earbud near your microphone? I'm getting like a weird echo.
No, I got it behind me.
Okay. Because I don't think it's mine. Because I've got all my sound off. But okay. Sorry. Didn't mean to disrupt that with the technical stuff.
Oh, that's not good. Hmm. You
I've
know
got.
what? Go ahead, Skip.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Mike.
Um, I think my favorite game is gonna have to be the Beastmen versus the Dark Elves last night. Mainly because there's a couple reasons for this.
All right, please try and do this with as little spoiling as you can, because I want people to actually watch the battle report.
Okay, my Minotaurs made it into combat. They made it into combat. That's like they did not fail their charges just god awful 3 times in a row. A couple really good choices in thinking ahead of time with the magic and whatnot, and Zola and the way he died. He went down like a hero.
Or as heroically as a beastman can go down.
But yeah, no, that was I enjoyed that game mainly because there should have never been a Beastman victory there.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I like that surprise, and I think we have surprised each other more than a couple times,
This
and I
is
think
this is
that's
definitely
what kind
true.
of I think that's what kind of keeps this alive and fresh for me. So what you got, Skip? What was your best battle?
I think because even though I lost it, I think the last battle for the Pearl for between the Daemons and Bretonia, because that just put a spin on the direction of Alphonius that I wasn't ever thinking about him going, but it made perfect sense of what
Yeah.
was going on, what Melisandre is, and I think it fit, even though the battle was lost by my end, I think it fit perfectly in what needed to be done next to progress the Alphonius story. So I would say that's been my favorite.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a fun one for me. It was hard. Like it literally took me all day to come up with that. I think I finally made my decision as to which one I liked the best, like 10 minutes before we started.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been just so many great battles that we've had for a variety of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So now MC1 Gamer asked a couple other questions about the dwarves and sort of our experience with them, and I actually want to put that off a little bit. Maybe we'll do it next week or something, because it's more kind of crunchy bit stuff, and I don't want to do that at the moment. But the other question that he asked is another kind of interesting one. What game accessories do we wish we had for either efficiency or cool factor of the game? Example, for X-Wing, there are acrylic tokens and laser lines for shooting arcs, so on. We actually have most of those. We've got the laser sight thing. We've got the tokens. Skip just got the charge arrow things, which were cool. I think that was the most recent one we've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think I just need more terrain. I want a wider variety of terrain, although I don't know where in the hell I'd store it because we're running out of room in the house already. What do you guys think?
My main obsession was getting that mat that we use now, and I finally found the one that we're currently using. More terrain would be good. I don't know.
Actually, I would like to get some of those token gal tokens that you have, Skip.
Yeah.
For my ogres, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things. It's like on my list of stuff I need to get, and just hasn't ever made it to the top, sadly enough.
I need a new tape measure, as we discovered last night.
Yeah.
$10 at a hardware store, man.
Yeah,
just make that shit happen.
Yeah, I work at one of those.
So, what do you think, Michael? Any toys you think are necessary?
There's not really any toys I can think of in particular, but when we do the shooting phase, you don't really get to have much of an effect. It's more, this is what shot, this is what happened. I would like us to have some kind of, like, with Thunderer shooting, there'd be a lot of smoke, so use like gray and black cotton or something in front of them to make it look like they're shooting. Something to add a little extra effect to the shooting.
That's just a conversion thing, man.
Well, yeah,
you
but
do that easy enough.
But just more to represent that, when we show what shot, to make it look fancy.
Yeah, and actually, I guess that's another thing. I mean, if we're making a magical wish list, having another program to put the battle reports together would be freaking lovely, because I could put music on it. But I use the free Windows Movie Maker that came on my. I don't even know what version of Windows I have on this freaking computer. It's older than dirt. But it can't handle a lot of stuff. It occasionally freezes up while I'm trying to do narratives, and I've got to start over, and it's a pain in the butt, but it's kind of what I'm used to, so I'm a little afraid of switching up at this point. But that would go on that fun list as well.
Yeah.
And anything made by Terrain Wench. I don't know if you guys have seen her channel. She does some terrain stuff. I stumbled upon it one day, but she sells a little bit of it, and she did this walkthrough of a spawning pit from the lizard men, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And on her website right now, she's got this observatory for like $55-$60, something like that, and it looks amazing. And I'm desperately trying to figure out a way in my budget to make that mine. It's just not happening at the moment. So let us pop back. We do have a few more comments here, and I don't know if you all can hear, but the baby is commenting loudly in her swing next to me. So MC1 Gamer, Michael is going high elves. Question: as a dwarf player, how does that sit with you? Will you be taking the banner of BS or go against the grain?
Yeah, if the banner of he's talking about the banner of beards.
No, the banner of the World Dragon is what he's talking about.
Oh no, I'm not taking the banner of the fucking World Dragon. That can go into the straight not taking ever pile, just like the Phoenix Guard. No, going pretty much straight out a heavy line infantry and cav, as I like the idea of high elves who don't rely on broken units to win the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's nice with sticking with that cavalry. It gives you a different army type.
Yeah.
I mean, your beastman gives you a solid infantry. The dwarves give you heavy war machines, and elves go cav.
Yeah.
Now, for the record, he one of the things he hasn't mentioned in this elf cav army is he's using no bolt throwers, and that's something I've tried to talk him out of. And I got to give the man credit; he's holding to his guns. So
I don't want war machines. I want it to be an invasion force, and the chariot, the sky cutter, I could see using that because it is a mobile platform that can run across the board. But other than that, I don't want something that's going to be stationary.
So absolutely good stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
So Realmington does say that the Halflings versus Beastmen that I wrote the scenario for him will be coming next week. He promises. So there you go, Malorian. I did my part. You should get another Remington Steel video next week. And Dark CT is... he says, if the world falls apart into chaos, it'll be wonderful. But if that's not the case, the surviving Skaven will bide our time. And apparently MC1 Gamer has gotten some Southern blood in him. North Carolina, Louisiana, Georgia, but settled back up into New York, New Jersey as a young adult. So he has the mix of the most annoying stuff from both. But he agrees that having played with 3 books, a battle scroll, both iPads, and hardcover is a pain. Absolutely. I that's actually the one thing that just has me twitching with fear about where Ninth could possibly go. If it ends up looking a lot like what the last edition of 40K ended up with, where you've got to have a backpack full of books just to have access to all your stuff, that would make me a sad panda.
A very sad panda.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad panda. So we've been going about an hour and 20 minutes, guys. I think that's yeah. I mean, we've been putting it away. We've gotten some good feedback and some good discussions. So, just as a general call out, for thoughts for topics, I think the next one we want to do is going to focus on scenarios, discussing kind of our use of the scenarios out of the book, how we've used them to try and tell our story, and any kind of issues with those scenarios that we've had so far. So that's kind of what we're going to focus on next week. But if you guys have some stuff that you're interested in, if there are questions about the narrative, about how we would do things, about just kind of how we do things around these parts, or anything you just want to hear 3 idiots talk about for an hour, go ahead. So we are going to, like I said, we're kind of working up what I want the weekly Jackass segment to be. I don't know whether it's going to be like just picking out, kind of like Reef does, picking out something from the forums, or maybe just once pretending to be a total jackass and rip into another one's list just to see how much hate we could pour on each other. We're still working on that, so if you have any theories or thoughts about that, definitely let us know. So, any final comments, gentlemen? I think we've kind of run to the end of our time, and I don't see any further comments in our bit here. So,
Cool. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors.
Tell the Canadians. I don't think we've got enough of them.
tell the Canadians. Yeah. And I mean, for that matter, if anybody is finding themselves in the Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, North Carolina area, give us a shout, man. We would love to meet folks, get in some games. We're going to have to strike up one with Darcy, like I said earlier. We'd love to hang out and get more games going on. So thank you guys. I did double check our comments. We got nothing else. So for those of you that have hung through the whole time, we definitely appreciate you watching and appreciate the support you guys have shown the whole time. And we hope we have been, if not informative, at least entertaining. So good night, everybody.